We are going from specific cases from metropolitan authorities for metropolitan areas to the global trends, to international trends. And precisely to show some international trends, some global trends, we have invited here to Metropolis, this worldwide network on metropolitan areas and major cities. And we are pleased to welcome Lia Brum, the officer of Metropolis in charge of the Metropolitan Observatory, that will share some data, some trends, some numbers with us. Please, Lia, welcome, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Rafa. Good day, everyone, wherever you are. Thank you, Gabriel and Mario, for your presentations, and also to the whole UN Habitat team for the invitation to bring Metropolis to this conversation. Let me see here how I have the screen speaker view and so on. Camilo, yes, perfect. That's good. Well, let's put it here. Good. So, as Rafael said, my name is Lia Brum, and I work for the World Association of the Major Metropolises, which I will shortly refer to here as Metropolis. Metropolis is also a common noun that we use a lot, so this sometimes generates a bit of confusion. But so that you know, during my speech here, whenever I mention the word metropolis, I will be mostly referring to the association and not a specific urban space. Well, I have to tell you that the moment that I got the invitation to take part in this webinar, having read its guiding questions, apart, of course, of being flattered to take part in this conversation, I wanted to make really clear to the organizers that I wouldn't be able to provide sharp answers of a given metropolitan area. Something that fortunately, I think our colleagues from Guadalajara and Grenoble-Alpes marvelously did, but that I would rather be trying to bring some insights about global trends and metropolitan perspectives in such uncertain times that we are living now, based mostly on the experience and the information that we managed to gather so far about our membership. And this is why I put the word hints in bold here in the title of my presentation, because as an association, we're mostly trying to find common answers to the challenges of the metropolization of the world, which I think it's already a challenge in itself. The next. So continuing to make this clear, I'm here speaking on behalf of 138 subnational government authorities, which are responsible, at least to a certain extent, of managing some of the largest and densest urban areas of the world. So you wouldn't expect me to demonstrate deep knowledge. I'm just humbly trying to connect dots of a very complex metropolitan world. And what you see here is a simple snapshot from the Metropolis website. And it's just to give you an idea of where our members are located and how they are spread. If you visit our website and click on these dots, you will find, let's go to the next. You will find that these dots are the 138 governments are 100%, 11% of them are metropolitan authorities, but there are also governments of provinces and regions and city governments, many of which are governments of metropolitan cities, which make actually the bulk of our membership. Most of our members are city governments. Of course, there is a huge debate on what defines a metropolitan city, and we're not getting necessarily into it now. But for operational matters, Metropolis works mostly with urban areas with a population from at least 1 million inhabitants, and up to the most densely populated ones, for instance, Jakarta, São Paulo, Istanbul, and many others. And coincidentally, well, these are the places which are being hit harder by the pandemic. Well, exactly because of this demographic concentration and or density. I myself am located in Barcelona. I'm talking to you from home, where the whole team of this Metropolis Secretariat General is based. Metropolis does not count on any other exclusively dedicated office elsewhere, but it does count on the invaluable support and collaboration of very much engaged and passionate people. And these people are the public officials of the administrations that are of our membership, as well as their political representatives. So the next slide goes to early March this year. Well, we are facing a few days actually before the World Health Organization announced that the COVID-19 as a pandemic, we started receiving a growing number of requests from these public officials, from our members, eager to know what their fellow governments in other parts of the planet were doing to respond to such an unprecedented challenge, and sharing the communication about their immediate responses, of the strategies that they were putting in place and so on. So we were starting to receive this documentation and information and wanting to facilitate this exchange. So in about a couple of weeks, could you move to the next, please? Metropolis teamed up with the Euro-Latin American Alliance of Cooperation Among Cities, which is a network mostly, well, yes, known as ALAS, that works mostly with the big cities in Latin America and in Europe. And we managed to put together this website, citiesforglobalhealth.org, which has quite of a simple structure. It's open to any local government in the world of any level to share their response to this and other emergencies, to the COVID-19 and other emergencies. Back then, I guess we were not fully aware of the magnitude of the pandemic itself. So we really wanted to get together documentation about previous health emergencies. And so the next comes to what we have, next slide. What we have today at citiesforglobalhealth.org. 98% of the 453 initiatives that have been uploaded are responses to the COVID-19 outbreak. And this willingness to share, because they were all voluntarily uploaded by public officials of local governments across the world. And we were quite impressed with this level of response that we received. And for us, it means somehow, it indicates a form of cooperation and complementarity between networks of subnational authorities that we had never seen before, actually. So we started receiving also support from the United Cities and Local Governments, CCLAY, C40, the International Union on Transportation, the Global Resilient Cities Network, and well, just to name a few. We are receiving the support and all these networks that sometimes we have the feeling that we are not working very much in a coordinated way. We are all got together to promote this initiative, to open this channel for local governments to share their responses. So in the next slide, I will move to actually the assignment of this webinar. How can we find the urban-rural links in these 453 responses? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go as deep into the analysis as I had hoped for, but as I said here, I share some hints, which are basically my own thoughts about some next steps of the work that Metropolis could carry out. And as the number of initiatives is rising, I think we need to start getting a sense of what these numbers mean. And what I actually initially saw from all these initiatives, browsing through them, I realized that just like in the Metropolis membership, the vast majority of the initiatives has been uploaded by city governments. And from all of these governments, I identified 61 initiatives because they are the ones led by cities in peripheral areas of the metropolitan territories where there is a member of Metropolis. Many of them are related to food supply, water supply, something that Mario mentioned in his presentation, waste management, mobility, security, and also gender violence policies, gender policies to tackle gender-based violence, among other topics. So, and these initiatives, they are taking place, if we go to the next slide, they are taking place specifically in just a few metropolitan areas, metropolitan territories. Of course, I have the data of the members that we work with. So this is, these are the metropolitan areas that we can see that there could be some dialogue being fostered between peripheral cities and also fringe areas of these urban territories. So Barcelona, Busan, Istanbul, Greater Paris, and Bogota have been assessed previously by Metropolis and the system of metropolitan indicators that we have developed and launched last year as examples of metropolitan territories with a greater level of metropolitan coordination, meaning that there is some type of government authorities that puts together all cities and different city governments to work together to provide public services. And also there's the case of Buenos Aires and Rio de Janeiro, in which we have initiatives from peripheral cities whose profile traditionally there is not such a metropolitan coordination entity. So in Metropolis, we do have a statement, and this is something that inspired us to launch this platform, which is on the next slide, which is, we're trying to connect the dots and find the common answers to challenges of metropolization, even though we know that the solutions are definitely not suitable to every context. However, we firmly believe that no solution will be found without collaboration. And in the end of the day, I guess this is what this crisis is requesting us all in every level. Leadership combined with solidarity. As it is happening with individual neighbors, helping out each other, as we have seen with the collaboration of different global alliances, and the openness, and even this openness to dialogue, the fact that we are talking here and sharing our ideas in this webinar, and the willingness from UN agencies to collaborate with a vast array of stakeholders. I strongly believe that we should facilitate the dialogue and joint work of the local authorities, which are at the forefront of the pandemic, in the fringes of their territories, that are working with the food supply and the waste management to ensure the safe management of public spaces, the quality of environmental services, and so on. And I get to the end of my presentation. My last slide is actually a picture from 35 years ago, when these guys in the pictures, they are, among them are the governors of Abidjan, Cairo, Los Angeles, Tokyo, New York. They first got together, driven by the need to get to exchange their ideas on something that they did not know how to fully manage, which was the growth of their own cities. And I see that 35 years later, at least I can say, well, at least a few women leaders joined this table, although they are still a minority. Just 24 of our members are led by women. But that we need to rethink all of our activities. Many of the activities of Metropolis have been face-to-face meetings and congresses and workshops for public officials. Now we are rethinking our whole operations. But I think that what drives us most is this willingness to open dialogues, especially in our metropolitan spaces. And I think this is what really drives me to be here, and all my colleagues who are working in Metropolis, is to foster this cooperation and mostly share our questions. I felt really inspired by the examples shared by Grenoble and Guadalajara, and I would also invite them to join the platform Cities for Global Health, and I would be happy also to hear your questions. Thank you very much.